Government claims 50 MPs while opposition says it has 58. Members of Parliament accused each other of using public funds. And Lae Snax Tiger player brutally attacked.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Saturday's news. Next week, Wednesday, the court is expected to hear an urgent application on the recalling of Parliament that took place this week. So far, both government and opposition MPs are still in their respective camps. The government opting for the Loloata resort that is restricted to media, while the opposition camp in Vanimo have confidently allowed the media to show their numbers. Currently, Loloata is claiming 50 MPs and Vanimo says it has 58.
In Vanimo, our crew is sending in footage of a chartered flight bringing in members of Parliament. Former PM Peter O'Neill arriving yesterday with Kirrawinna Goodenough MP and Milne Bay Governor Luke Critton. A head count boasting them to an apparent 56, but the camp claiming NCD Governor Powers Pakop and Mosby South MP Justin Tachenko putting the number at 58.
6.
In Port Moresby, the Prime Minister addressing the media at his headquarters and stating government has 50 loyal members of Parliament.
Quite a substantial number remained behind. They were not caught in that mad rush for a bus and for a plane to bus to Crown and a plane to Vanimo. And right now as I speak, about 50 members by head count remain static with me. I will not lie to everyone. And in our side, our number and good indications are showing that many were caught off guard and by surprise. But as I said, government is not playing politics. We're going by the books and by the process. I will not allow someone who is intoxicated with imaginations and hallucinations for power to come and break procedures and process in National Parliament to try to gain access into the office of Prime Minister.
EMTV has made attempts to get onto the Loloata resort but have been told an approval from the Prime Minister's office would be needed. While we have written to the Prime Minister's office for approval, we have been told that it is off limits to the media. But needless to say, the Prime Minister is still the head of state and it's business as usual for him as he has appointed caretaker ministers this week.
Said with you, and what you see is what we have. We have caretaker ministers now running those departments. There's no vacancy as we speak, and we're in the process of putting the new structure of our government together going forward. As his head Parliament said, and we've adjourned Parliament now to next year. Let me inform everyone. Next year, April, is still an opportune time for my colleagues on the other side. If they feel that they have no confidence in me and they have maturity on their side, they are willing to come to Parliament in April 20 and exercise their right to move a motion of no confidence. What happened last week Friday was a strategy. They thought will work for them, and in haste, they broke parliamentary standing order provisions.
Back in Vanimo, the camp is still holding forth.
Regarding the number game, when you see that both camps do not have numbers, you will see that no camp will come out very clear. Vanimo camp, we mean business, and as you can see today, we did a head count in front of the cameras. The number is here. There's 2 more in Port Moresby that will go up to 58. So majority is being maintained here, while all the other formalities in regarding to the legal issues that will be sorted out next week. We all look confident that we will walk into Parliament on the 1st of December.
Both camps still camping out and most likely awaiting the court's interpretation of whether the recall of Parliament was constitutional.
And you lose governance. The only honourable thing for James Marape to do now is to resign in disgrace. There is no other way. Sorry, my friend. You have lost government.
Right to go to court to contest the process, and we will defend our constitution as it is. We will defend our organic law as it is and our standing order as it is.
Adelaide Siraks Kari, National EMTV News.
Following allegations by Finance Minister Rainbow Paita in Parliament of political parties being funded through public funds, United Labour Party leader and Bulolo MP Sam Basil has not denied the claims but said he too would release names of political parties that have benefited from public funds. Finance Minister Rainbow Paita said that between 60 to 65 million kina was paid out to the former National Planning Minister's party a week before he defected from government. The accusations going back and forth unraveling an apparent culture of public funds being pumped into political parties in the favor of whoever is in the government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On Tuesday, during question time, Finance Minister, when responding to a question raised by the member for TYCIC, Kobe Bomario, on whether it was true a political party had received public funds, Minister Paita was discreet but openly deciding to make the information public knowledge that a party had received 60 million kina plus.
Ask him, number one, ask him blame law whether sample funding is being paid out. Time former National Planning Minister na DPM is tapos National Planning Minister. I mean like inform him also some yes, sample payment he come up in his na as to the districts na amas through payout. BN making table him the exact amount were paid out, but me like inform him all members of some sample money payout to one particular party. BN making some exact details as to how much was actually paid, but the figure I'm getting is between 60 and 65 million. So once we confirm him, I will come back to him as Vice Minister, and I think he was not aware of it as well. So just that this payment he come up now, that was done prior to what happened yesterday on Friday. So I think it was probably an orchestrated move. So me put him law. Thinking blame that we will make known whichever payments were made so that we can understand the closed behind the doors dealings of what happened before the exit from this went on the other side. So
When prompted by Eastern Highlands Province Governor in a supplementary question to reveal which party and from what funds, Minister Paita responded that it came from Special Implementation Project funding and had been paid to the former National Planning Minister's party a week before he had defected.
Sespla Bekim, number one, supplementary budget, you may pass him, special intervention program. We established LP district, long district program roads, district infrastructure, special intervention. Among those, one of those pockets of funding was used to pay some of these projects, so may I highlight him now. Number two, it was not taken from PIP. It was those allocation of funding, we all pay them out now. Majority of those members who may look named all stuff, I think it was to one particular party where the minister himself was the party leader for. So when we get
United Labour Party leader and Bulolo MP Sam Basil in Vanimo yesterday not denying the allegations but stating that he also had names.
As you can see that from government we have project funds, and project funds are passed through the supplementary budget. And of course, when you know that parties that are in government, they enjoy the perks and privileges of having access to funds. We got up and we packed up and we left, meaning that not all our members have access to those funds, as well as other coalition partners who walk by. Some other party leaders are saying that no, we have to stay back a little bit for a week so our members get their checks first. So I believe that the finance minister has made the call. I welcome his call. Start putting the names and publish. I'll do the same for other parties that are benefiting from the government as well. So I don't have any problem with that. But
Basil's comments tainting a picture of a political system in place that allows for political parties to be funded by public funds through budget loopholes. And if so, it now leaves the question on how many political parties have received public funds and under how many government regimes. Adelaide Surex Kari, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape has asserted that negotiations with Porgera mine stakeholder Barrick New Guinea Limited is going well. He said both parties are in an apparent truce with any court proceeding. Mr. Marape made these comments at the announcement this week of the environmental permit for the Wafi-Golpu copper and gold mining project.
Concerned, we are at a place through negotiation. And of course, as investors, they have every right to go to court if they're not satisfied with government decisions. They've gone to court, but we've held truce. And in the last 3 months, there have been negotiations going on without state sacrificing or compromising key principles of the Marape-led government. And principles include SML remains part of us. We have majority stake in the new program going forward. We will not compromise on tax. We will maximize local content, and we will maximize landowner spin-off businesses. And as I stand here today, I am comforted in knowing that Barrick, as a truth of them not going to court and stopped, and for us to negotiate to see whether we could strike some commercial and reach some commercial agreements. Barrick, as a first investor we've talked in as far as progress is concerned, Barrick has agreed to all the principles that my government has fought to establish, and my government will fight for our people going into the future, and that is majority ownership, eventually leading to 100% ownership, sitting on the table without compromising our corporate tax, and getting additionals we can. And in as far as progress is concerned, I can announce safely to our country, we've reached a point in time in as far as those negotiations are concerned where the Barrick investors have given undertaking to government that those principles have, that I've outlined before them have not been compromised, have not been rejected. So.
The Department of Personnel Management has responded to grievances raised by the Public Employees Association. The PEA was planning on meeting with relevant government ministers in this November session of Parliament to register their disagreement on salaries for public servants. The meetings have not commenced, but DPM Secretary Lae Snax says the department had to consider other factors when deciding on the salary fixation agreement for public servants.
Public Employees Association, with the support of its member union bodies, put together a petition last week to present to the government, given that public servants will miss out on 2020 and 2021 CPI adjustments, with cost of goods and services spiralling quarterly. Before movements on the floor of Parliament last Friday, PEA planned to present the petition to the then Minister for Public Service as well as the Minister for Labour and Industrial Relations. Public servants were also threatening to take industrial action, including going for early Christmas break if their demands are not met by the end of this Parliament sitting. The three main areas for the petition are salary increment, insurance cover for all public servants, and salaries and wages tax.
Failure to receive any response on the petition before the Parliament rises. As Chairman alluded, we will look at industrial action, which may tantamount to early shutdown of the public service for this year.
The 2021 national budget was passed on voices this week, with a lot of questions raised on the way it was done. Department of Personnel Management Secretary Lae Snax said in the response statement issued yesterday that due to the 2020 budget deficit of 4.6 billion kina, where a major component of the deficit is the personnel emoluments cost amounting to over 1 billion kina, NEC Decision number 109 of 2019 determined drastic cost-saving measures be undertaken and directed that a freeze is imposed upon any further increases to the salaries and allowances as part of cost-saving measures to cover the budget deficit. Economist Paul Barker also expressed concerns this week over PNG's debt situation.
Obviously, this year has been a weak year. Next year, the government is forecasting quite a good economic recovery, 3.5% or something. But it has to be recognised that that is really recovering ground from the decline in economic growth that occurred this year, particularly in the mineral sector, but also in the non-mineral sector. So next year is a bit of a recovery, but that's envisaged. but you're still seeing that it hasn't really recovered much ahead of the 2019 economy. And in the meantime, we've got a higher level of debt.
Secretary Sanson said given that the budget discussions for 2021 have been concluded, it was resolved on the 15th of September this year with PEA that a memorandum of understanding is to be reached by both parties, that the salary fixation in the expired MOA is under review. Ms. Sanson also said in the statement that going to the media will not resolve anything, as this is a negotiation process made more difficult by the prevailing economic situation and the COVID-19 pandemic, urging all parties to be sensitive to the issue. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
In the news ahead, rugby league player attacked, police cells in Lae overcrowded, and the Sogeri Pineapple Festival gets underway. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back to the news. A current Lae Snax Tigers player and former PNG hunter Anderson Benford was brutally attacked at Bomana suburb in NCD on Thursday night. After filing a police report on the incident at Boroko police station yesterday, Anderson and a few of his relatives and friends spoke to EMTV News, saying a police officer was involved in planning the attack on him.
Anderson Benford testifies that he was speaking on his mobile phone when the attack occurred on Thursday night. He says it was a surprise attack which he did not expect and is thankful that he is still alive.
Policeman ki moda lolo kilimi soksi knife kam holgam burgem botolo et lumi na olksi knife na katimi kati bros lumi or katim nus lumi na ololimi stable ololimi et na ololo paitimi.
Anderson and his family normally reside in Lae, but when in Port Moresby are usually based at the Gerehu suburb. On Thursday night, Anderson went to the Bomana suburb with some friends when the incident took place. He understands that a police officer in the area was allegedly involved in directing the attackers to him.
Mr. Laus na miaram sam chimpagara busam na mina one bell because am or pinin blum play more sam lo country or play bar na islagainia or sabe karim play lo country round lo tablo wall na nemblo imisa parap na mi prosection pigina manslatu.
The matter has been reported to the police and the alleged involvement of the police officer will be investigated, as well as those who attacked Anderson. Anderson Benford is currently attached to the Lae Snax Tigers club. A couple of seasons ago, Benford was selected in the PNG Hunter squad to play in the Queensland Intrust Super Cup, as well as being in the PNG Prime Minister's 13 side. Benford was very young when he started representing PNG in various tournaments overseas, including being part of a young National Rugby League side that toured Scotland. And he is adamant to rise further in his rugby league career.
I'm planning to boys will go down and play. I didn't make it through on them all. I'm just trying best. Trying best yet, let me go lesla. I will mangis a golem play.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
Lae's Metropolitan Superintendent Chris Kunyanban has raised concerns about overcrowded police cells. This has been an ongoing issue. Mr. Kunyanban says this has contributed to health issues of prisoners.
Lae's Toptown police station is overcrowded with prisoners. Due to COVID-19, they can only send 15 at a time to Bimo prison. The overcrowding has led to prisoners getting sick. Police have also tried to cut back on the detention of those who commit minor crimes.
We experience plenty something in cell now where plenty prisoners sick because long consistent in cell and plenty straight.
These cells and station were built in the 1960s. It is one of the oldest stations in the country. At Burma Prison, it is a similar story where holding cells are filled to capacity. Burma's commanding officer Judy Tara said this has also contributed to the spread of illnesses.
Prior to the COVID-19, we had a huge overcrowding that took us almost to just over 1,000.
Lae's Metropolitan Superintendent Chris Kunyanban said this challenges Lae Police to look into this and lower health risks to prisoners. Philia Pisap, National EMTV News, Lae.
Despite the impact of COVID-19 affecting the academic year, some schools have successfully completed their educational calendar. Yesterday, over 300 students from Wagani Christian College in the nation's capital graduated with certificates. The school has also given students a second chance to continue their education after falling out of the government system.
Graduating students, parents and other stakeholders were in attendance to witness this significant event. Grade 8, 10 and 12 students received their certificates together with other academic awards. School founder and director Benjamin Mool encouraged students to remain committed to their education.
Thank you. Lo achievement lo life you graduate and action certificate. That's all. This is not the end of the world. You have it's an opening of another new chapter. You have another chapter to be open, and you have a long way to go.
Wagani Christian College is one of the biggest private institutions in the country, providing elementary, primary and secondary school education to students for over 20 years. They are also providing second chance education to students who are unable to make it through the government system. And over the years, they have seen better results from students. With the COVID-19 pandemic affecting schools in the country, Wagani Christian College is no different. However, they have managed to complete this academic year.
We give them second chance to do grade 9, 10, 11 and 12. And students drop out from grade 10, we give them second chance to do grade 11 and 12. And then sit down for national exam like other schools in the country, and they are selected to go to recognized universities and tertiary institutions.
With the fifth batch of grade 12 students graduating from the college, various academic awards were also presented to students. The awards include DAX in science, social science and business streams, including awards in leadership and scripture union. Certificate of academic excellence was also presented to top 3 students from grades 8, 10 and 12.
Wagani Christian College is growing bigger and bigger, and our aim is to provide quality education and compete with other schools, especially international schools.
Rayon Lakingun National, EMTV News.
The inaugural Sogeri Pineapple Festival got underway in the Central Province. Governor Robert Agarobe said tourism is an important part of his government's plan to develop Sogeri, which is already home to the Kokoda track, into a tourism hotspot. The event today saw traditional sing-sing groups, contemporary string bands and food, aquaculture and information stalls on display.
As part of the day's planned events for the festival, there was the Enduro Challenge, a team challenge that saw teams battle a close to 10-kilometer route over water and land. After a 3-hour delay, it finally got paddling as the kayaks dashed through the Sirinumu Dam before reaching land on foot and on wheels en route to Yarawari Secondary School Gate, where it ended. That set the tone for the day.
Thank you through.
At the Oval, performers braved the heat of the sun to perform their traditional sing-sings. The Koyari people displaying their culture proudly for the visitors to see. It was not always the Koyari, the Kairukus also graced the Sogeri plateaus in their familiar gold attire. Central Governor Robert Agarobe paid tribute to the land and its people.
A lot of people know Sogeri as the start of the Kokoda Track, the Sirinumu Dam, and Rona Power. However, there's more to Sogeri than what meets the eye.
The importance of culture echoed by the foreign missions in PNG who were guests at the event.
Thank you, True Long Sing Gauti Mi Ikam. Mi Hamamas True Long looking looking you pela olgeta, no nice pela pineapple.
Apart from the rich culture on display, the festival also provided an avenue for small businesses to cash in.
It's really good for like small businesses like us. Like we're just starting up, and it gives us a lot of sort of like a platform or a space for us to come and just be exposed to other businesses.
The first of the two-day Pineapple Festival. Also a first for the Koyari people here at Sogeri. Certainly not the last. It's also given a glimpse of what this part of Central can offer to Papua New Guinea. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
In stories making headlines overseas, Prince William welcomes investigation into his mother's 1995 interview and damning reports on the Australian Special Forces. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, Prince William is welcoming an investigation into how the BBC secured an interview with his mother in 1995. Princess Diana's brother has alleged journalist Martin Bashir used forged bank statements to coax her into doing the Panorama interview.
An unprecedented intervention. Prince William weighing in to the drama surrounding his mother's infamous BBC interview, saying he tentatively welcomes the BBC's decision to launch an investigation into how it came about. The Duke of Cambridge calling the official inquiry a step in the right direction and saying it should help establish the truth behind the actions that led to the Panorama interview. Over 23 million people watched as Princess Diana sat down with Martin Bashir for the interview that shook the world and the royal family over 2 decades ago.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
But how Bashir got the princess to talk to him is now under investigation. Her brother, Earl Spencer, alleges Bashir peddled lies and smears in order to convince Diana to speak exclusively with him. Bashir has yet to respond to the claims, the BBC saying he's too ill to comment.
William and Harry are really keen to make sure that their mother's legacy is protected and that she is remembered faithfully for who she was. This interview was a huge moment in her life, and I think this statement shows that William is really keen that the facts around it are established for the record.
It comes as Diana's troubles also take centre stage in the latest season of Netflix's hit series The Crown. Her character is seen struggling with Prince Charles's long affair with Camilla Parker Bowles.
You know how he loves to surround himself with dreary old men and daddy substitutes. No? Darling, you really know nothing, do you?
There's bound to be concern that this fictional portrayal has the capacity to have a real impact on how these real-life individuals are perceived. Millions of people are watching this programme around the world.
A damning report revealed credible evidence that Australian Special Forces murdered nearly 40 Afghan civilians over several years. Here are the details.
From the shadows of Australia's longest war, a long-awaited reckoning.
To the people of Afghanistan, on behalf of the Australian Defence Force, I sincerely and unreservedly apologise for any wrongdoing by Australian soldiers.
That wrongdoing's been laid bare in explosive findings detailing murders and other war crimes committed by special forces.
None of the alleged unlawful killings were described as being in the heat of battle.
The Inspector General has collated credible evidence for numerous executions of captured Afghan fighters and innocent civilians, such as this 2012 shooting first uncovered by Four Corners. The worst of the crimes said to have been carried out towards the end of the lengthy conflict, including one that's only been described as possibly the most disgraceful episode in Australia's military history. In total, 25 elite soldiers are accused of war crimes linked to the murder of at least 39 Afghans, although the inquiry concedes there's no doubt it's failed to uncover everything. Justice Brereton's report lifts the lid on a toxic warrior culture fostered by a small group of soldiers within the SAS.
The nature of all of the crimes is so disturbing and distressing. There was a set of special rules for special forces.
The chief believes more crimes from Afghanistan will be uncovered. Criminal prosecutions are likely to take years, but compensation will soon be offered to families in Afghanistan. Restoring the reputation and moral credibility of special forces could take much longer.
And Trukai Sports is next. Fiddler Sukina will join you after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Good night and welcome to Trukai Sports. The Coney Tigers Club in the Port Moresby Rugby Football League today renewed their sponsorship with their sponsor, the Lae Biscuit Company. The Tigers have been doing well this season and are happy with the continued support by their sponsor. The Coney Tigers Club have been pacing themselves well in this year's 2020 season of the Port Moresby Rugby Football League. The team is one of the most recognized teams in POMRFL and has been around for decades as part of POMRFL's rich history of more than 70 years of competition. Today the team had renewed their sponsorship with long-time sponsor Lae Biscuit Company. President of the Coney Tigers, Benson Upas, was happy with the sponsorship renewal.
We are so fortunate to have this relationship with one of the PNG's iconic company, Lae Biscuit Company, for the last 20 years plus or so, since 2002, I guess. Yeah, so we're so fortunate to have this relationship. It's been an ongoing relationship, and we're proud to have that as a club. At these economical times where we can't say much, but we are so grateful to have this assistance of 10,000 kina to help us through the finals. Yeah, on behalf of the club, I want to say thank you.
Lae Biscuit Company has been a sponsor to the Tigers for the past 20 years on almost an on and off basis, but they have had a rich history that still resonates to this day.
It's a classic name, Coney Tigers, and it's come and gone, and we've been there for the last 20 years. So some years that when the management has not been good, we've walked away, but we've always come back when they get their act together. And I'm pleased to say that now we're seeing the women's team is getting stronger, and I'm hoping that with a bit of determination, we get Coney Tigers back to the winning podium. Yeah. And I say, it's not always winning on the field, but it's the sportsmanship. And we're very proud to be with Coney Tigers, even though it's been a long time between drinks. I think 30 years.
The Port Moresby Rugby Football League is upholding its decision to keep out Digicel Cup players from taking part in this year's season. A delegates meeting had the majority voting not to allow teams to have their Digicel Cup players return this season. With the shortened season and a late start to the 71st season of the Port Moresby Rugby Football League, the competition had opted not to have Digicel Cup players take part in the competition. It was for the benefit of the players in the POMRFL competition that they would not be put at risk when playing with Digicel Cup players. That was when the competition started in August.
The Digicel Cup had already been advanced, and player preparations, player fitness levels, and the actual playing players were much fitter, much higher than the local Port Moresby Rugby League players who had not yet started until late August, as well as due to the two lockdowns, the preparations and the training were disrupted. So to protect our local PRL players, the club players, the delegates came up with that resolution. But coming after round 2, with the competition now on par, perhaps it's on par with the Digicel Cup level, I personally think that we should allow players to take part.
Meke Minor, the administrator of Pom RFL, says although the competition has picked up and teams look more fit and competitive, a delegates meeting before the start of the final remaining matches has agreed that teams are still not allowed to field any Digicel Cup players.
In the beginning, the resolution was put in place to protect our players because we were way behind in our preparations, disrupted trainings and all that. So we thought that if players from Digicel Cup come, our players at PRL may have hard time, they may get into injuries and all that. But the rule stands. According to the last delegates meeting on the 29th of October, that resolution was reiterated that no Digicel Cup players are to return to their clubs at Port Moresby Rugby and take part. That resolution still stands.
And Trukai Sports continues with rugby union and cricket abroad. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
And welcome back to Trukai Sports. To rugby union abroad, the Wallabies have the chance of taking control of the Tri-Nations if they can manage a win over Argentina in Newcastle, Sydney tonight.
Australia's had 2 weeks to regroup since upsetting the All Blacks after last weekend's results. They're well aware of the challenge the Argentinians pose. It's also the Wallabies' first time up against former coach Michael Cheika, who's helping out coach the Pumas.
I'm sure he's keeping those guys on their toes after a good performance last week alongside Mario there. So look, I'm not sure what he's going to be throwing out and what their boys are going to be coming up with this week, but it's imperative for us to focus on ourselves.
If Australia beats Argentina, they'll leapfrog the All Blacks to the top of the Tri-Nations table with 1 round left to play.
A day after the release of a draw for next year's Women's Rugby World Cup, New Zealand's best players have one last chance to impress before the squad starts to take shape next year. The Black Ferns playing the Barbarians this afternoon and beating them by 19 points in a trial match where New Zealand's best talents were on show.
Try telling these players the actual result of this match doesn't mean a lot.
Who needs a test match this year when the best of New Zealand square off against each other like that?
The Black Ferns and Barbarians face to face before their match, which doubles as an essential trial for World Cup places. And while it's probably the backs where spots are most up for grabs, the forwards dominated.
And Alana Brenda is there, the Barbars do strike back.
Ford scoring all 5 of the first half tries, Pip Love regathering for a double.
She's got a lot of work to do. As we see here, she might have got that down.
Even referee Rebecca Marnie found herself caught up in the physicality up front.
I read that going blind. Clearly not. My apologies, ladies.
A 2-point ball game forcing both teams to put their bodies heavily on the line.
Boompa.
In the end, the Black Ferns holding off for gallant Barbarians to win 19-17 and claim the series 2-0.
These are the best 50 players in New Zealand, and what a great display of rugby that was today.
Plenty of players putting their hands up in what could be a hotly contested squad.
To cricket now, as COVID affects all codes in sports, international New Zealand cricketers are warning that the effects of COVID will get even more surreal than what was faced in 2020. International cricketer James Bond, who's in quarantine at the moment in Auckland, speaks on what is expected to come in 2021.
Caps are gearing up for a full summer of cricket on home soil. But come next winter, it could well be another story.
If there's touring next winter, the challenges around the bubble outside your own country, the challenges around not having family there, and then the challenges around still quarantining when you come back.
If schedules allow and align, the side faces a lengthy stint away from home, particularly the IPL players who'll leave India and head on tour straight after.
If the IPL sits in the same window next year, sort of March, April, May, that's going to mean an extraordinary length of time away from home without family, and that's going to present real challenges.
And with the ongoing risk of COVID-19, the squad will likely have to quarantine multiple times.
Those murmurings of people picking and choosing international tours, it's sort of coming to the fore now that the current environment with the quarantines and stuff is going to make it a little unsustainable to be on the road for so long.
And if that wasn't testing enough, there'll be the added challenge of playing their Northern Hemisphere counterparts in their home conditions.
That's why I think the depth across the squad is important, because the coaches and selectors will have to think about how they balance the time away with winning different series in different parts of the world.
But for now, the Black Caps will have to make the most of touring their own backyard.
That's terrific.
That story wraps up Trukai Sports. We'll be back with the weather report for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports.
Let him go, Chol.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Cloudy morning, clearing to fine evening, thunderstorms and showers likely in Port Moresby. Morning rain drizzles, then cloudy weather in Daru and Popondetta. Fine, although partly cloudy with afternoon showers developing in Kerma, and partly cloudy with some rain showers later in Alotau. In the Momase region, fine, partly cloudy weather with afternoon showers developing in Lae. Mostly fine, although partly cloudy with afternoon showers developing also in Medang. Mostly cloudy with easing thundery showers in Wewak and occasional rain showers and thunderstorms in Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands region, morning showers, then fine, partly cloudy weather in Lorengau, rain showers and thunderstorms easing to cloudy periods in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, occasional rain showers and thunderstorms easing to cloudy periods in Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, morning fog clearing to a fine, partly cloudy day with evening showers and drizzles right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's the way it is this Saturday, the 21st of November 2020. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.